Back with more Angel. This is episode 13 of season 5. Very excited, as always, to see what's going to happen next. Last time we had the 100th episode, which was amazing. Really great, very emotional send-off for Cordelia, kind of wrapping up her character. Unfortunately, wrapping up her character, but it was still a lovely send-off for the character. Well, I felt anyway. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see where we go next with these final 10 episodes of Angel, and what on earth they have in store as things continue escalating to some sort of conclusion. I don't know. Probably not quite yet. We're going to get that sense, because obviously I think at this point they didn't know that it was cancelled yet. But we also, maybe forever, maybe only temporarily, dealt with Lindsay in the last episode. I feel like there might be more to that. Certainly Eve's still out and about, probably going to planning some sort of revenge. So maybe we're going to carry on with that side of things, or something else entirely is going to happen. No clue, but I'm very excited, so let's get into the next one. Oh, okay.
Eve has vanished. Well, can't
Shame.
We may be able to establish a new liaison through a protocol. Oh, sorry, must be tired. We've got options. I'll get on it.
Oh. Hello. Is that someone who died in the submarine thing?
I used to have a bit of a head for numbers. It's funny how you lose part of your mind when you stop using it.
Is it?
Angel and I are old acquaintances.
Yeah.
I was friends with him back in the day.
Get in line, buddy. So Angel was friends with James A. Janice.
A T-class German prototype submarine. Unfortunately, when they were bringing it back here, something went wrong.
Of course.
Down too deep to send divers. Pressure. Cold. It'd kill a man. But those aren't problems for you.
Angel being sent to the bottom of the ocean? Well, I never.
I represent a relatively new agency, Demon Research Initiative, and we think that you might be the solution to our little problem.
As in, like, initiative?
We think we know what attacked our boys.
Is it Spike? Or another vampire he knows?
Torpedo room. Reading German.
Torpedo no room. Oh. Oh. Oh boy. Well, that's fine.
Oh man gets 400 feet down without so much as a dive suit.
He's some sort of super soldier, like Steve Rogers or Captain America.
Hey!
Steve Rogers is Captain America, you eight-ball.
Love me a good base under siege. God's sake. Of course.
Jealous. Don't let anyone in here.
God, your hair's so dark. Well, I suppose this is before it was even light, I guess?
You're a Nazi.
What? Oh, no. I just ate one. So, they got you too, eh? This is Nestoyev and the Prince of Lies.
Oh my god.
Prince of Lies, this is Angelus.
And eat the rest.
No. Yeah, probably should warn you. He likes to pretend he's the boss.
You may have made a name for yourself, muscling around weaker vampires.
Hang on.
But I
Goodbye.
We don't kill the humans till we reach land.
I do like his quick thinking to, like, just pretend he was also, like, captured and stored on the thing.
Aren't you gonna ask me how I got in here?
No. You'd be amazed at how many people break into this building on a regular basis.
That is true. We should do something about that.
About how I was always good with technology. Never thought I'd miss being on that sub. Things made kind of sense. Keep your head down. Watch each other's backs. Stay alert.
Where does the captain sit?
Oh, right there.
Oh, right. And now, who brings the captain his
Buffyverse. There's a difference between orders and purpose, sir. Evil's spreading, sir. And it's not just over there. It was on my ship, it killed my crew, and we gotta stop it. I've been scared out of my mind since I signed on for this duty. But I can keep it together.
Kind of like what Angel does nowadays.
If I know it's for a greater purpose. I need you to trust that I'm gonna get us all through this. Safe and sound.
Sound? Yes.
Understand. What, exactly?
Why we do what we do, how you manage to...
Nope.
You sure you want to do that shit? Fairly certain I said I'd kill you if I ever saw you again. Oh, I never doubted you.
Oh.
An ace in the hole. Wouldn't make much sense, would it?
Yeah, he's got Fred and Wesley. At least.
What did you do?
But I do need you to trust that I'm going to get us all through this. Safe and sound.
See what he did there with the words, yeah. Probably still could have just killed him and then come down and rescued them when he realised that they were in danger.
When am I gonna get a turn?
About never.
I'm playing nice with the anchovies, like you asked.
Anchovies.
At least let me have a go at the wheel.
Everybody keeps their cool. We might just make it out of this.
Or,
Think I don't know?
Bitte, ich flehe dich an.
Suck the blood from your skull and digest your thoughts like a sour pool.
oh,
Danke. Er hätte mich sonst umgebracht.
yeah, I'm not gonna feel bad for the Nazi.
Surely won't fit.
Macht über Subdämonen, genauer. Vampire.
What about vampires?
I don't know. It's technical. Something about stimulation and control. They've been experimenting on them
Mm.
and cutting into their brains.
I'm not getting experimented on by his government.
We wouldn't do that. You don't win a war by doing whatever it takes. You win by doing what's right.
Yeah, let me know how that works out for you, Popeye.
None of this matters. Your people
Yeah,
are this shit.
it's a nice
And
attitude to
we're
have,
still
but
alive.
it's not
That's
always
all.
the way, is it? Morally grey. Oopsie. Well, that doesn't sound great.
Multiple caffeinations.
Propulsion motors down! We're dead in the water! Go, get it back up.
Literally. Yeah, I noticed that.
What the hell's a screwdriver?
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, that'll do it. I'd normally say he's screwed. But I think we have a clue what happens to this guy.
Funny what goes through a man's mind when his life's hanging in the balance. The only thing that really goes through your head is, wow, this really sucks.
It's fair.
And then you're gone.
I can fix it. No, you can't.
Yeah. You have to turn him to make sure that he can get them out.
Good work.
Thanks, Chief. You too?
We're out of air. Crew's not gonna make it if we don't bend.
They swore to give their lives for their country. Just like me. Besides, I'm hungry.
Yeah, you changed your tune.
But they're not the mission.
20 miles from land.
I just might make it.
I'm sorry for what happened. But if I ever see you again, I have to kill you.
Aye, aye, Chief.
Maybe one of these days we'll get a happy flashback where he doesn't do anything that comes back to bite him in the arse.
Make him dash for dry land before Mr. Sunshine scorches him a new one. You're still a dick.
Yeah. Killing them's not gonna change the past.
But it'll hurt you. Maybe that's enough.
Never is.
Then maybe I found my mission again after all these years.
Being an evil son of a bitch not keeping you busy.
We all need a reason to live. Or does everyone you sired feel this way?
You're the only one I ever did this to.
Yeah.
I had a soul.
Do I have one too?
That's interesting.
I don't believe it works that way, son.
Spike knows somewhere you can get one.
soul to keep me trapped between who I was and who I should be. I'm nothing.
You were this mad about it. I feel like you would have confronted him much sooner.
Come on, Chief. Give me a mission.
Oh, damn. I was hoping he'd see Spike in the present day.
Knew something about security. No revenge is best served cold and all, but his must have been frozen solid. I don't think that's what he was after. Then what was he looking for? No reason.
If he couldn't get one. Okay, pretty solid episode overall. I did enjoy it. I liked the setting of the submarine, and kind of that idea of, you know, in the midst of World War II, you know, both sides potentially trying to use vampires for their own gains, and Angel and Spike getting caught up in all of that, and some other kind of cookie cutter vampire stereotypes, I guess, but they weren't around for all that long and they didn't play too big of a role. So it was kind of fun, I guess, to play around with like the Nosferatu sort of imagery with that one thing. And then, you know, Angel having to sire summon whilst having a soul, which I think is a really interesting idea. And then that person coming back to haunt him in the present day. I liked that. And the idea of, you know, what your purpose in the world might be, even if you are a vampire, you know, you still kind of want something to live and exist for. Probably more so than anyone who's living, because you could just be around forever with no kind of goals or anything to strive toward. And I imagine that's a pretty pitiful existence, and I think that's kind of what they were doing with Lawson. You know, he either wanted to get that mission, he wanted to find a purpose again, and I think he was just scraping the bottom of the barrel for something to do, and for ways to find meaning to his existence. Hence why I guess he confronted Angel again after all this time, probably wrapping it in the excuse of Wolfram and Hart and fighting evil and everything, as a reason to kind of just get his payback. Because he said, like, oh, I check in every decade or so, but he hasn't really done anything to probably confront him until now. I think he was just at his tail end. He knew Angel said, you know, if I see you again, I'll have to kill you. And it seems almost like Lawson reached that point. You know, if Angel couldn't give him a new mission or a purpose to exist, at least he could end his existence, and then that would be it, and he'd be free. That seemed what it felt like to me. It's like this is Lawson's almost suicide mission, I feel like, which is an interesting idea, and the fact that Angel was almost forced to sire someone while he had a soul, and it's the one and only time he ever did it, so they could get out from the submarine and everything. I thought that was a really interesting concept. I wish we kind of got more present day stuff with that, other than you know, compared to the flashbacks. It seemed very flashback heavy in this one, which I didn't necessarily mind, but maybe we didn't need the stereotype vampires in there. Maybe we didn't need as many of a crew or whatever, I'm not sure. I just felt like the more interesting stuff was going on with Lawson in the present day, and it seems a missed opportunity for him to not see Spike again in the present as well. I think that could have been interesting to see how that interaction would have gone. And, you know, him, you know, getting Fred, Wesley and Gunn, kind of just leaving them, you know, we didn't even see him get Gunn. That could have been an interesting thing to see as well. But all of that just kind of felt like, yeah, in the end, you know, it didn't really amount to anything. Maybe that's purposeful, because I think a lot of this episode was exploring, you know, why you keep fighting the good fight, or if you even have a fight to fight at all, and what your purpose is, what mission you have in your existence. And I do like how that ties into a lot of Angel's doubts about Wolfram and Hart. And he's like, he has this mission, you know, the Shanshu prophecy and everything he wants to fulfill. There's been a lot of focus on that this season in particular, trying to achieve that. And then, you know, he's kind of been weighing up, is running Wolfram and Hart the way I should do this and go about this? Because he had that huge doubt about continuing down this path in the last episode, and obviously Cordelia kind of changed his mind about that, which sets him up in a very interesting position to do this episode, which I quite liked timing wise. It's probably well planned. 'Cause I think maybe things have played out very differently if the last episode hadn't happened. If this happened before You're Welcome, maybe he wouldn't have killed Lawson at the end. Maybe he would have actually empathized with him a lot more, because he would have been going through the same shit. Maybe there's still the reason if he'd gotten through the other side because of Cordelia's advice and stuff. Maybe he still could have been like, look, I've just been through this myself, feeling like, I may have a mission, but I don't know really how to go about achieving it. Almost lost in that sense. Maybe he could have helped Lawson through it, but it is interesting how things turned out that way. And it's almost like Lawson is where Angel could have ended up. He was very purposeless, didn't have any mission for a long time, and then he was kind of given the mission to watch over Buffy and kind of protect her a bit, and from that led him to LA with his whole Shansho thing, and he got a prophecy and the purpose from there. So I do like exploring an eternal life but without purpose. Is that even worth it? What do we strive for? What missions do we have, and is it worth existing if we don't have one? So I liked all those themes that they were kind of exploring with it, and I think a lot of it speaks to Angel's recent struggles, and I think a lot of Angel as a character and the show itself is we keep fighting the fight all the time, but there still seems to be more of the fight to go, and it doesn't seem to have an end to it. Is it still worth just pursuing that? Maybe find something new for yourself, maybe just give up entirely. So that was a really interesting kind of psyche, I guess, to explore. And I think it is kind of a missed opportunity with the whole Spike thing, the fact that he wasn't around and Lawson saw him again in the present day, is because Spike, died to save the world. He kind of died with a purpose there, and he still came back. I think that could be a really interesting conversation for Spike and Lawson to have, and again, maybe that would have ended that whole conflict very, very differently if Lawson could have seen that and heard Spike's input on what that could mean. Because even though Spike had achieved this big purpose and stuff, and he came back, he was struggling for a while when he thought he might fade away forever. He didn't want that to happen. He wanted to stay. So that could have been a really cool interaction. And I just felt like there's a lot of stuff on the submarine that maybe they could have just trimmed a bit, so we could have gotten a bit more focus on that stuff in the present day. But it was Lawson, I think, just trying to force Angel's hand, and maybe just to end his existence, which is very sad. It's a very kind of bittersweet thing. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. I just wish in the present day, I think they could have explored the idea of Angel sired someone with a soul, and when he had a soul, and the consequences of that. I feel like they could have been a bit more done with that, rather than just Nazis and submarines and everything, which is done quite a lot in all sorts of different mediums. But still, I didn't mind that. And again, Angel season 5 in particular, I think, does it. It's the what's this thing gonna be? Oh, it's Spike. What a surprise. It's done that quite a few times now, when even if it's like as a red herring or it's been a fake out or something, they've often done like the build up to something, and it's Spike. It turns out it was Spike all along. So it's kind of a retread of that, the initial reveal of him. I didn't mind him being there by any means, because it was fun to see Spike back then and see him and Angel back then together. And Spike was a lot of fun back then as well, trying to maintain that he was the captain and dressing up in the clothes of people that he's killed. Not, he certainly has an MO for that, with his big long black cloak and everything. But yeah, there was just, this season does that a lot, where he's trying to do a plot twist and it's Spike again. Just like show that he's there. They don't need to make a big deal of it, especially because they just do it so often. But again, that's just a minor nitpick really about how the season goes. But yeah, some really cool stuff going on with that. I thought in the meeting scene, I did like, again, like, do we have a real drive for this mission, this purpose? It's what Lawson was kind of asking Fred about. Does she even enjoy her job here? And they've kind of gone through a lot of periods of doubts about working with Wolfram and Hart. Gunn, maybe not so much. He seems to have kind of really found a place there. He really belongs. He thinks they're doing good there, while the others have had their doubts at times. And we saw that with the start, where they're like, do we even have a social life? What did we do before we worked here? This is kind of their whole existence now. They are just fighting for this mission, and their mission, their work, that is all their lives, that is all their time. And I like the kind of contrast with Lawson, who has nothing, and that just left him completely empty, even emptier than the fact that he doesn't have a soul and thinks he's a vampire. So that's, again, some interesting contrast going on with that. But I thought at the start, Gunn kind of had a bit of a moment where he couldn't quite remember the information that was in his head. I don't know if that was just he was tired, like he said, but I thought that was actually going to be building up to something. I was like, well, maybe does Eve being around, does that for some reason keep Gunn kind of okay, and it keeps all the information stored? Maybe she's done something now that she's gone. I thought that was going to be something. Maybe it's still building up to something. Maybe it was just a throwaway thing so that they could say, oh, I'm tired. But I thought that was going to be a bit of something, so I thought I'd make note of that just in case that comes back. But that would be an interesting story if something goes wrong with what they put in Gunn's head, and maybe he's starting to lose it or something. That would really examine his purpose and what he brings to the team and stuff. So that could be a good thing for Gunn if they choose to do that, but it might have just been a throwaway thing and I'm chatting shit. So wait and see on that one, really. And yeah, everything else, they just ended up being kidnapped victims. Lawson just somewhat forcing Angel's hand more than anything else in this episode. And again, Lorne didn't even get kidnapped, poor Lorne, but there you go. I say poor Lorne for not getting kidnapped. Probably for the best, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know how much more I have to really say. It felt like a very streamlined episode. It didn't feel like we had like B or C plots really going on, because it was all kind of connected from the past and the present. But yeah, they explored some really cool themes. I liked the addition of Lawson, what happened to him, Angel siring someone when he had his soul, and that coming back to bite him, the idea of eternal life and not having a mission. All of that I thought played into some very interesting ideas about where Angel has been at for a lot of this season, kind of doubting his path and his journey and what he's doing and his mission. And they showed a bit of that with the rest of the group at the start of this one as well. And yeah, it's always fun to get some flashbacks with Angel back then, and seeing Spike in there as well. But yeah, I kind of wish we got a bit less of that and a bit more of the present day stuff, where they could have really explored this idea more and maybe included Spike in that and his input into Lawson's situation. I think that would have been really interesting to get. But that's fine. What can you do? So yeah, overall, pretty solid episode. I did enjoy it. And yeah, it does feel like a very interesting epilogue almost to Angel's little arc this season, where he's kind of really been doubting the Wolfram and Hart thing and being like, I'm done here, I don't want to do this anymore. Cordelia getting him back on track. It felt like a nice kind of epilogue to that, in a sense, because he's now presented with someone that he's responsible for still being alive, while at least being this young at this present time, because Lawson might have still been alive if he just aged normally at this point anyway. But he's kind of presented with that, and it's almost like, this could have been me if I didn't find my purpose. And again, I think that could have been something that they could have explored a bit more and actually directly addressed that. But, it's fine. So yeah, they had some really good ideas in there. I did like how it served as a mini epilogue to Angel's arc thus far. Now he's kind of made some peace with the Wolfram and Hart thing. He's directly confronted with it again. It's like, this is how things could have gone for you. So yeah, some good fun with that. And I did like the submarine setting. I thought that was kind of an interesting, very different thing for, Buffyverse in general to do, Not often you get a submarine episode, so I did like that. But I would have liked maybe a bit more of the present day stuff to go with it. So yeah, overall, very solid episode. I did enjoy it. Some interesting themes and stuff being explored. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what's going to be happening in the next episode. It should be quite something. We have 9 left now. So yeah, it's going to start sinking in soon. I think that we're coming to the end of not just Angel, but Buffyverse in general, at least live action. So yeah, good episode overall. Looking forward to seeing what's going to come next. And until my next reaction, thanks for watching.